Alright, so it looks like we actually have a number in the 40s, and it was supposed to be number 13, because this was, the big poll was pick your numbers, but yeah, I'm 44, supposed to be 13, and then due to all the delays, I was promised number 4, I believe, so no point in pre-ordering all 3, because that wasn't true. And this should have been 2 boxes, not 1, but I like the crate aspect of it because extra protection. Look at that. 44 of 59. Well, hopefully it'll just be the greatest thing ever made, and I won't even care about the number, but Katie's is already looking far superior, and it looks like he changed his scaling, so my advice would be to just buy his. Personally, so far, but his will also be on a pallet, is what he said. You can definitely do this with a hammer, but I would say use a crowbar because the bottom is really flimsy, and I think a crowbar would just make this 10 times easier. Now we're going to get into opening it so you guys can see how it arrived, because I'm pretty well known for getting everything broken. So let's see, at least hoping they packaged it well, because I know recently we got to see how Katie is going to be packaging their Super Saiyan 4 Goku, but I don't remember seeing too much on how Mad's packaged theirs. So, and this should have been 2 boxes again, because okay,
it is 2 boxes
I guess
technically.
that's fair. It is 2 boxes, just really, really dumb.
Oh, this picture.
I guess that's neat. I'm still kind of pissed about my COA number. I know I shouldn't be, because what's it matter, but I guess when you're just told you'll get something, it kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Oh, and he taped the sides too, son of a... Oh, this is a really flimsy box, okay. This reminds me of, I got a replacement box for my J-Ross Majin Vegeta, because the one, I bought it from a collector, and the box got ruined, so I went to a third-party site, and they shipped it in a really flimsy, or they gave me a really flimsy box to use. Okay. No art box, that's unfortunate. I would have hoped that we would have gotten that. But I guess they tried to pass off the, what do you call it, brown box as an art box.
The inner box.
Alright. 1 down. 2. Got that down. Alright, let's see if it's broken.
That's thick.
Oh, that's a big piece of styrofoam. Oh, that's massive. So far, it looks good, but I will also say this is exactly how I looked at my MRC Goku when I opened it. So I think we're going to just cut video, and I'm going to bring it down piece by piece, and we'll just kind of go through it together. Okay. So we're going to pull this out just so we can make sure that there's no damage. It looks like we already have a scratch on the base. Oh, this is so unbelievably heavy, because he put Vegeta's lower half into the base, and there's nowhere to really grab it from. And the paint job is really poor. It looks, I mean, at least first glance, it looks, this isn't the best lighting. Like, you see how sloppy that is for how much this cost? It seems like there's like no QC done on the base, which seems like it would be the easiest thing to like keep an eye out for. But we got the Dragon Balls that I requested, but they're in crooked, so you can't even tell what Dragon Ball that is. And you can't remove them. That's stupid, because look, if you got it from right here, you see the slit in the ball. This is poor QC. Okay. So we're probably just going to pause it till I get it out of here, because it's going to take a hot moment. Okay. So we've got it out. Again,
Oh,
I'm really bummed about how they did the Dragon Balls. It seems like it would have been so
they
easy.
had
I know.
one cover?
No, they're on all of them.
Oh.
It seems like it would have been so easy because look, they did it for every Dragon Ball. You just see them from the top, which why would you want that? You would want to see them from the front. That was a pretty stupid move.
Really hard to see through.
And then there's a bunch of defects on the base. So, yeah, I guess we'll go place this on the stand and then we'll just move over to the chest piece. It doesn't look like the base is broken at all. At least so far, I don't see any breaks. So no major breaks as of yet. So I'm not that strong, but the bottom is artwork and I cannot see it, so I'll have to see it in the video. Is it numbered 44 on the bottom?
Yes.
Cool, still wrong number. So one of the weird things now about this, we're gonna go over to the body soon, but this is the remote for it. I've never seen a remote like this. And I don't really know what to think of it, but that's different. I know that the base is supposed to be RGB. I don't know if it is. We'll see. There's already a battery in there. You gotta pull the tab, it looks like. We'll just, because I will forget to do it later. I don't even know what type of battery that is. 23A? Okay. So we're gonna move over to trying to get this out, but what's in these boxes? A power adapter. Okay, so it doesn't use USB-C. It uses the DC input. And then I don't know what would be in this then, since that's a power. I got 2 power bricks, it looks like, for some reason. So we're gonna keep recording right here because this is the first time we're gonna be taking this out, and I see 2 arms. So it's all one piece. I didn't think they were gonna do it as one piece, but I just wanna make sure that there's no breaks in it, because that seems kind of dangerous. And that kind of explains why it's such a pain in the ass to lift. I mean, he's massive. This is definitely MRC scale all the way. I mean, here's my hand, here's his hand. Like, it's kind of, I mean, I like the oversized busts, but the reason I've stopped collecting MRC mainly was there's really no aftercare support, and then just the pain in the ass of moving this stuff. Like, this thing is ridiculously heavy, so I'm gonna try pulling it out right now. Okay. I don't see any breaks yet. I think the fur texture is very lacking. There's no real shading. It's just a bunch of spikes, which again,
There's some shading they tried, but they didn't do shading within the muscles as well as they should have to define those a little bit better.
yeah.
It looks like they attempted, but
The
they didn't
arm?
get that wash in enough.
Here's the tap test. Again, I'm shitting on it a little bit. It's fine. It's just, so far, I haven't gotten what I thought I would get. So I'm a little upset about it all.
Rotate it.
So, and then this would be the back of it.
Okay.
So I'm not a fan of the fur texture so far, and I feel like the painting isn't up to par with what I would expect from MRC quality. And this is all just first, like, glances and opinions. I'm sure it could change the longer I have it, but I like the gloves. I think they're a little over texturized.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, they're quite a bit over texturized. It reminds me of the, what do you call it? The KD Final Flash, where it looked like crusty gloves, and that's kind of what this looks like.
I will say that I kind of wish they made it darker under the fingers, because it kind of, from like far away, it starts to just look
Blend.
like one thing, yeah,
Yeah.
versus like a shadow texture underneath to help amplify that.
Yeah. And right here, if you can get the camera in there, there's this huge, like, seam. Like, it is a really bad seam throughout the whole thing. Like, I'm not sure why they did that. And I've got some
Over
sticky
here, too.
residue right here on mine, so I don't think, yeah, they didn't fully seal it either. So I've got, like, live paint right here without the final coat on it, so it is pretty sticky as well. And that could just be goop, but I think it's not sealed paint. So I'm going to bring this downstairs, and then we'll move over to the head. So my wife pointed this out. It's two different adapters, one for Europe, one for the US. And this is, I mean, it's nice to give an option, but what would have been better is what Tsume does, where you have these swap outs that just kind of slide in and slide out, versus getting two adapters, because I have no use for this, and I feel like I'm going to need to hold on to it if I ever want to resell this, in case I sell to somebody in Europe. But then again, with how they did it in one box and it's in a crate, I don't think that this is going to be an easy thing to resell. But what we'll move to next then is we'll check the hair and pull that out. And so far, it looks like they got the brown color pretty good. But what I saw in the photos, okay, so I take that, well, let's get it in better lighting. Because one of the things I saw in the photos was the fact that it had a really red hue, and I was told that that's just the lighting of the factory giving it the red hue, because of how the light was bouncing off of the fur. This looks more red-brown to me, which isn't like a bad thing. I've seen renders where people will do it with black hair, so at least we can get that. That's a heavy-ass head. Careful, because they didn't separate any of the... Okay, so far, I dig the way it looks. I wish they did Vegeta with a frown. I don't know why everybody makes everybody smile in bust form. The only one I think that did Vegeta's face absolutely perfectly was Katie, but I actually don't mind this so far. I think this is pretty good. At least, I wish that there was a little bit more... No, I think this is fine. Because I'm thinking of like Super Saiyan, where like you can get the white tip highlights. This is fine so far. I'm going to go put it on the base though, because I really can't see it that well. And then we'll probably continue with just the smaller parts and then do an overall look at how it looks. Alright, so now all we have left is bigger pieces. Okay, so those are Shenron's whiskers. Oh, here is the COA holder, I believe. Maybe? It's gotta be. Okay, so it's also not USB-C. They give you the cable though, so that's awesome. So we'll put that there, because I don't see, oh, it's underneath, okay. Let's grab whatever this is. I have to assume this is the COA. And the thing, like, I'm fine with crystal COAs. I think coins are the worst. So I think Mads did a good job going the crystal block route, because I really haven't seen many studios do that. And this is a really fancy presentation. But, oh, this is pretty nice. Yeah, I dig how this is. I'm still not happy about my COA number, but this is pretty cool. So we'll put that back in for now. So that's probably the most premium feature I have noticed so far. We'll get this out of the way. Then we'll go over and make sure the Shenron head is good. Seems good. I think that this Shenron head is like perfect. This is one that he nailed really well. Sorry, bug. Okay, so this was a cool idea, but it doesn't detach. So how MRC does it is they put the Dragon Ball in the mouth based on the release that they have. Looks like Mads did it with the one-star ball, which I think will look really good. It doesn't look like there's any LED features in the Shenron head. Got a little chunky face, but yeah, the seams are pretty rough on it too, though. Which, I mean, if the problem I have with this is this isn't detachable. Like MRCs, you can take them off. It makes sense if there's a seam, and I never noticed the seams on MRC, but this is pretty big of a seam. But I think the way they painted this is way better than the other parts of it, because you can see all these different hues and shades within the horns, and I don't mind the scaling at all. So there's a few misses with this. There's a few hits. So we'll put that down. So at least there's no breaks so far. So that at least Mads seems to really have nailed the packaging. Then we'll see what's over here. So that's just Shenron's arms holding another ball. And I'm curious, is this also to the side? No. So when he's holding it, you'll see it. I'm not sure if it'll face the same way. I still think that that was a pretty bad idea to face the Dragon Balls where you would see them if you're looking from above versus the side of it, because not often are we going to be just looming over our statues. But I think that's all the parts. So there's two Shenron arms, the Shenron head, the massive COA and the massive COA holder. So yeah, I think that that's probably the biggest COA I've ever seen. But it has a lot of quality to it. I like that it came in a nice little fancy box. And we'll move to the basement and show it all put together with the LEDs working next. Alright, so we got it all put together down here. And looking at it overall, I like it still. I think it's good quality. I think the quality control was a little rough. Just mainly on the base, to be honest. The rest of it, there's some seam lines, but when it's put together and you have it kind of at an angle like he's supposed to be, you don't notice the chest and the arms. I still think the fur could have been a little bit more detailed, and I still think the gloves are a little too detailed, but I think the hair color is damn near perfect. The face is definitely Vegeta. I like the red Shenron going around the base. I like Katie's a little more, but the dragon on Katie's is the base, so it's just a different perspective on it. And I also like how this is not removable. I know a lot of people want them removable in case it breaks. There's really nothing you can do, but I like that I don't have to worry about another part. The biggest things that bothered me about this were definitely the seam lines in the chest. Again, you can't really see them when it's put together. And the Dragon Balls being at an angle, I feel like I would have wanted them facing me more, because right now, unless you're looking an overview, you're not going to see what star each one is. Again, this is Mad's first bust, so you have to give a little bit of leniency on it. It's a great first bust. One thing that we were promised that we didn't get, besides picking our COA numbers, was having our names engraved in the VIP version. I know he made a Facebook post about, hey, we can't do it logistically. I get that sometimes you're a little overzealous with how things are. Just something I wanted to point out. The COA is actually pretty big, and it's got a RGB base, sort of. So there's this switch on the side that has 3 settings. We have off, white, red, and orange. At least that's all I see so far. So it's not like it's full RGB, but you get a few different options. And again, this is a really cool COA. But for those of you who are like very turned away by large COAs, here's an example of KRC Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. It's a normal size card, so this is exactly the same size as Katie's card versions would be. They're plastic ones. So this is a pretty big COA. Whoops. So what we'll do next then is we're going to test the LEDs in the base. I haven't tried that yet. We'll turn this guy off just to not take away. But when I press 1, we get red. 2 is yellow. 3 is green. 4 is blue. 5 is purplish pink. 6, I guess, is off. Yeah, 6 is off. So these are the different cycle colors we get. I like this idea for the base because I remember when I was talking to Mads, because when this all started, I was a very big supporter. I really was excited about it. Mads had asked me for some input, so I really felt attached to this item. And he did not want to copy KD when it came to the circular ring. So I like what he did here where it's like spotlights. I feel like it gives the same effect as KD's. I know it's a giant LED ring on KD's that goes around, but it still just lights up the bottom of the bust. So I'm okay with this, and I like the uniqueness of it. Again, like I said, it's a good bust overall. There's some QC issues, and I know that we've been trying to figure out what's been going on with like all the shipment delays. The biggest things that I do love about this, again, the hair is the perfect color, the face is on point, and I'm a big GT fan, so it's funny to go from, this was actually my first resin to now this. But the last thing I just want to harp on a little bit is if you zoom in on the fur on the shoulder, it gets a little muddied. And I just want to know everybody's opinions on if you feel the same exact way. It gets really good underneath the arm. Like, I like this texture a lot. We'll turn off the LEDs to make it a little easier. I like how this all kind of looks, but when up here just feels like a completely different texture, at least to me. And maybe it's not picking up on camera that well, but it feels less defined, if that makes sense. So if you can get one, I think they're worth it at the end. But if you don't want to have two Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta busts, I think right now I'd probably lean towards KD more because he changed his scale, it seems. They're a bit bigger, they're a bit more dynamic, and MRC scale is MRC scale. I mean, you have Infinite Studio UI Goku bust right next to it. J. Ross is underscaled, so that's not a good example, but he's massive. But yeah, that's about it. So one other thing my wife caught was it's a red star ball in the middle, or orange. It's not a black star, which it should be a black star. So again, a little bit of QC issues. You can't really tell unless the light hits it the right way, but it was just kind of funny. We were just looking over it again after doing all the recording and noticed, yeah, it's a red star ball in the middle, or a red star in the middle of it. So just food for thought.